Almost forgot my headphones. You guys wouldn't have been able to hear me without them. Uh, alright. So, uh, happy almost Christmas. So, we're going over to Hebrews 11. And when I was a Christian, this used to be called the Faith Hall of Fame chapter. That's a tongue twister. But now I just think it's dumb. So, why do I think it's dumb? Let's find out. By the way, I'm not doing a Today in History just because it's kind of late / early in the morning here, and I'm hoping I can get to sleep pretty soon. Right now, not so much, but like I said, I'm hoping to get to sleep pretty soon. So, that is why I'm not doing a Today in History. But I will be doing a Saturday live chat and Saturday live stream rather, and I will be doing a Today in History at that time. So, let's get on with it. Hebrews 11. Now faith is confidence in what we hope for, and assurance about things we do not see. This is what the ancients were commended for. I, like most things in the Bible, I have a problem with this. If you're hoping for something, you can't have confidence in it. That just doesn't make any sense. Verse 3. By faith we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made out of what was visible. Okay. No, we don't understand that. We don't. Because most of my viewers don't even believe there's a God. So, how can we believe that the universe was created at God's command if we don't believe in a God? Verse 4. By faith, Abel brought God a better offering than Cain did. By faith, he was commended as righteous when God spoke well of his offerings. And by faith, Abel still speaks, even though he is dead. What does this have anything to do with faith? I mean, just because, first of all, I've already gone over this. Back when Cain and Abel brought their offerings, God didn't say, hey, I want a blood offering. So why was Abel's offering accepted and not Cain's? Second of all, what does this have to do with faith? It doesn't make any sense to me. And, of course, there are atheists who believe in the afterlife, because there are atheists who believe in ghosts. But Most of us don't. So if we don't believe in an afterlife, how can we believe Abel still speaks? Not to mention that most of us don't believe that Abel existed to begin with. And I think even the rabbis would agree with us in that respect. It is just a story, probably to give a lesson of some kind. Verse 5, by faith Enoch was taken from this life so that he did not experience death. He could not be found because God had taken him away. For before he was taken, he was commended as one who pleased God. Again, what does this have to do with faith? And ever thought that maybe, just maybe, nobody found him because he got lost in the desert and died, and nobody found him because he got lost in the desert? And by the time somebody did find him, he was nothing but a skeleton, so they didn't know who he was, if he even existed, which, I doubt, but I'm giving the benefit here, Verse 6, and without faith it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists, and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. Finally, we have to get to verse 6 for something to make sense. But even that doesn't really make any sense, but, verse 7. By faith, Noah, when warned about things not yet seen, in holy fear, built an ark to save his family. By his faith, he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness that is in keeping with faith. Okay. Few things here. First of all, no, it didn't exist. Second of all, this story is a retelling of the Epic of Gilgamesh. Third, I've already got a thing on why. I already have an episode on why the flood never happened. So go ahead and watch that if you want to know how I feel about those particular chapters. Verse 8. By faith, Abraham, when called to go to a place he would later receive as his inheritance, obeyed and went, even though he did not know where he was going. Well, that's kind of stupid. It's one thing if you know, like, a couple of people where you're going, so you can get situated and all that. And if you're adventurous, it'd be kind of cool to go where you don't know anybody. But back here, not only do I not believe Abraham existed, but back in this time it would be they were very clannish back in this time. I mean, we're still clannish, but we're not as clannish. And God said his descendants would inherit the land. Didn't say he would. Verse 9. By faith he made his home in the promised land like a stranger in a foreign country. He lived in tents, as did Isaac and Jacob, who were heirs with him of the same promise. Isaac did live in the land, pretty much. Jacob, not so much. He spent 26 years in Haran. I just finished with that in my Bible series on my Saturday live streams. Verse 10. For he was looking forward to the city with foundations, whose, I think that's supposed to be without foundations, whose architect and builder is God. Well, again, I don't really believe in God, but we got a problem here. If God is incorporeal, how can he build something? I mean, it's one thing for him to, quote unquote, speak something into existence, which, again, I don't believe in this particular God, so I don't believe that he spoke anything into existence. It is another thing for him to build something, especially if he is incorporeal. Verse 11. And by faith, even Sarah, who was past childbearing age, was enabled to bear children because she considered him faithful who had made the promise. Okay. We don't know who wrote Hebrews, but I don't know where the writer of Hebrews got this from, because that is not what Genesis says. Genesis says that Sarah laughed when God said she was going to have a son, because she was like 90-some years old, which probably didn't happen. I mean, people didn't live that long back then. So I don't know where, the writer of Hebrews got this, but that's clearly not true. Verse 12. And so from this one man, and he as good as dead, came descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky, and as countless as the sand on the seashore. If you want the truth about how Israel came to be anciently, you might want to watch my Emergence of Israel series, because this is not how Israel came about. They are not descended from one man. Verse 13. All these people were still living by faith when they died. They did not receive the things promised, They only saw them and welcomed them from a distance, admitting that they were foreigners and strangers on earth. This is how the pastors and the preachers and the conmen and all the other religious leaders keep people enslaved. They promise something that they know they will never be held accountable for, because you only get this something after you die. And obviously, you can't hold anybody accountable for anything after you die. Verse 14. People who say such things show that they are looking for a country not of their own. If they had been thinking of the country they had left, they would have had opportunity to return. Well, maybe. But then again, if you're an adventurer, I don't really consider myself much of an adventurer, but I do like seeing different places, and I do like living in different towns, even if I don't know anybody. I like meeting new people and all that good stuff. Verse 16. Instead, they were longing for a better country, a heavenly one. Therefore, God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared a city for them. Evidence needed. That's all I gotta say for that one. Verse 17. By faith, Abraham, when God tested him, offered Isaac as the S word. I'm not going to use it. I might get demonetized. But I do want to say something that's just crazy. I am not a mother, but if I was, I would not